You all set?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's a regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board. Today is September 17th, 2020. Present at today's meeting are, Kate, can you do the roll?
Yeah, sure. We have Cynthia Carter, Dan Leary, Don Radke, Julia Marshall, Lisa Tonzi, and Bob Haley. Jeff Romano and Tom Cantwell are both excused absences.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. I'd like a motion to accept the minutes.
Yeah.
My name was misspelled, but it's not a big deal.
What? I'm sorry, say that again?
My name was misspelled, but it's not a big deal.
Really? Oh, no, that's a big deal. I'll change.
We'll
Sorry.
correct it. Anything else?
No, I
Hearing
thought.
none, seeing none, all in favor of accepting the
No,
minutes?
no, please. I'm sorry. I was just waiting for the second. I do have a comment about the minutes, if I could.
Sure.
It's in, I don't have my notes in front of me. I was reading them earlier, but I don't have them up right now in digital form. It's in the middle of the sentence of regarding the Water Street project.
Yeah.
And it's the statement, Kate, and I think in general about, and it says something about in general, the group was pleased with the design. I think that's too general. If I could, do you have that sentence right in front of you, Kate?
Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
Little paragraph. If the board agrees, I would cut that sentence out because the details you offer in the next few sentences specifically state the details regarding the design, as opposed to a generalization of saying we're generally pleased with the redesign. I think that we should not do that kind of a description. It's just can be too misunderstood.
Okay.
That was my comment. Thank you.
Good by me.
Okay, it's good by the board. Anything else? All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, the item on the agenda for today is the building on Salina Street, the Whitlock building. Randy Crawford apparently has had conversations with both Kate, the developer, and my sense is that there will be some information coming back, some changes, some not. And the request has been made that we form a subcommittee to meet with Randy and maybe the developer before we meet with the board as a whole to see what, if anything, can be further discussed to remedy the situation in some fashion, which we have done in many situations in the past with applicants. So I'd like volunteers for a subcommittee, no more than 4. I will be one.
I'll do it.
Okay,
Okay.
Lisa.
Lisa, me.
Who made,
I can help
the,
if needed.
who made the request for the subcommittee review?
I'm sorry.
Who made the request for the subcommittee review?
Randy did.
On behalf of the developer. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
Randy had a good grip.
Pardon?
I thought Randy had a good grip and that he could come back to us.
I think he wants to bat some. Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently there's other issues. So
I'm
it has
sure
been a
that-
request and we've done it in the past. So anybody
Judy,
else
any-
want to volunteer?
I can if necessary.
Okay, Bob. Okay, so that will be Bob, Lisa, and myself. And
Okay,
we
and
will
I'll set something up. Yep.
All right, sounds good. And that is the only agenda item. Which brings us.
Sorry, just on that same subject, I had added my notes, hoping that we could get a better understanding of our role and zoning's role in terms of being more substantial in our having some teeth in what we do, essentially.
Right. Well, Bob,
Yeah.
let me answer that right away.
Sure.
This has been frustrating for us,
Yeah.
all of us, since I think we've been on the board.
Right.
And it's the way it works. And right now, we have no enforcement capability whatsoever. We have no ability, and it is beyond our jurisdiction to recommend fines or things like that. So there's really nothing we can do. That's the answer, other than to give our, in this case, comments to the zoning department, and the zoning department takes it from there with code enforcement and the planning commission, et cetera. And it's important that we, even though we may not like it, that we stay within our jurisdiction.
Well, I fully understand our jurisdiction, and I think that's, as you said, frustrating to all of us all the years we've been here. I'm not trying to be punitive. I'm not trying to pick out a particular project. I just think that zoning, or whoever holds the final review, has a responsibility to all of our efforts and to the intention of the zoning ordinance to make clear that it has failed for specific reasons on behalf that were avoidable, and to do whatever they need to do to make that apparent as part of this process.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to further what Don was saying is that especially with, well, the preservation ordinance obviously is part of the zoning ordinance. Mm-hmm. If there's a violation of a C of A, you know, speaking more broadly, if there's something that happens with a local protected site, I am able to send out a code enforcement officer who then goes and cites the property. It's, and I don't know to what extent codes actually start there. There is a fine structure within codes for zoning violations. It's really up to the codes department as well as law as to who they are, who they levy fines against. They are trying to make it some violations more like parking tickets, so that the code enforcement officers can actually go and cite, and you get a ticket that begins to accrue charges. And that's you know, starting to come online. But there is enforcement.
Yes.
But it is one step removed, if you will, from
right. And I also want to add, on this particular project, there's more than just our issues. You know, we're not going to cross the line and get over into another department's job.
No, I agree. I'm not trying to do that.
Right. No, I understand. But I think the board, you know, it's important for the board also to understand that this is not the only issue that's going on. Our issue. So
it might be helpful to us to have a phrase that is a closing phrase saying this represents the violation of the intent of the code, or whatever it is, that's clearly without asking for a fine or anything we can't do, but a strong statement of that the zoning would then take as a leverage for them to do what they need to do.
Right. When we make our final comments, we can certainly make a comment much like that will simply say the applicant failed to follow the process and procedure. Had they done so, this would have been avoided, and that's an issue. Yeah, for sure.
Are the codes officers and the permit office fully aware of, and do they have a copy of our recommendations at the time a permit is issued and at the time that the codes officers are in the field? They do.
Yes. Yes.
They have a copy.
You know,
of
what happens obviously is, in many situations, things come up from a developer's point of view, and they just go do it, and they know that inspection isn't going to be right there all the time, and it creates all kinds of issues.
Really? I wasn't aware that's the way our job works.
May I ask a question that's off topic, but it's another building that we spoke of weeks ago on Genesee Street? Remember the one that was painted?
Yeah, that has a stop work order on it, and it's in legal.
Perfect. Okay. Well, at least something's happening.
Something's happening with it. Yep.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving forward,
can I make?
Sure.
Sorry. I have a. Is it possible that I make a quick comment about the Amos, the Jacob?
Sure.
Okay.
You know, we're in discussion phase now, formally. So if you want to discuss that a little bit, bring it up.
Really quick. Just as an overall project, I'm thinking a lot about it, and I just think that the whole process has been fairly sloppy, and it does not, for me, instill much confidence in following through on our, I mean, I know they have done some of it, but it just seems so discombobulated and it doesn't seem terribly organized to me. I may not be the perfect person to say that, but it seems hither and yon and scattered and not terribly focused. I just wanted to say that.
Well, I think everybody on the board would agree with you.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue. And let's see what they come back with. But
Okay.
this submission and of course the whole process leading up to this in the past years
Yes.
has been what it is. And
I was actually glad to hear that they didn't want to be on this particular agenda because I knew that there was a lot of work to be done based on our comments. And one of the problems has been all along is just rushing it. That
Right.
that
Well, they're last minute people,
Yeah,
Yes.
they
that's
go
right.
and they do things at the last minute and then they pay for it. So
uh,
Lisa, your
It's-
comment is very well spoken and
Okay.
shared by the entire board, I'm sure.
Well, thank you for letting me vent. Thank you.
No problem.
Can I make a general comment that it's not just this project, but other projects, and perhaps, it should be a little more stringent in terms of if they're going to put in a submission and we're going to discuss it, what they write in their application and what they submit really needs to match. And if it doesn't, we don't even waste our time. They should be presenting a full package that is
Yeah.
coordinated.
and I have to say usually zoning catches that type of, usually before at least the project site reviews come to us, zoning has gone through it, and this one got to us a little faster, I think, and for the Jacob, and
I do
think
think-
it was Bob and Julie, all of you noticed the discrepancies.
And I think they're also, not to defend it at all, but there is a difference in what an applicant may be desiring to present through a C of A versus project site review that they comment on.
Right.
So there's a little bit of, I don't know if the word is looseness built into that kind of a system. But Julie, I think you're absolutely correct to the greatest extent possible.
Right.
That has to be done.
Especially
so-
for
One other thing. I think this is a good discussion, by the way. Thank you all. On that same project, it's interesting that zoning returned that for a complete new review. In other words, the last submission was a new review. I think that's important to remember when we encounter projects that may go through many reviews, that make many changes, but are still trying to push things through from their point of view. I think we have to really be careful about over-enabling.
Right.
And I'm trying to speak against it. I think we're trying to do our job here. And
Right.
it caused us a lot of backup. What are they doing before we get into doing the analysis we need to do?
Correct.
So,
Well said. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I would like to have a short, and I say short discussion of Temple.
Please.
Because for one very important reason, it's not an agenda item. There's not been notification out to the public or anybody else that we're having formal discussion. So I really don't want to discuss the Temple project per se. What I want to do is have Kate, if she can, give us a synopsis of the comments that she has received and have the board rally around those comments that are appropriate so we can get them back, as we said, to the developer.
Okay.
I don't want to get into a lot of discussion. Sam's letter is a letter that's going to have to go out to everybody before we have specific discussions. So I'd really like to, I appreciate Sam's letter, but I really don't think that's appropriate for us to be discussing because we have not made a notice and it has not gone out that this is an item of formal discussion on our agenda. What we're doing here is only what we did at our last meeting, which the presentation was made and we did not have time to make comments. And I've asked people to give comments. So, Kate, could you kind of summarize to the best of your ability the comments that have come in?
Yeah. So I sort of divided it into two. One is sort of talking more specifically about the proposal, and the other one was info requests, if you will. So to sort of understand a little bit better where they're heading. And first and foremost is really the east end of the temple and how it's being connected. There was a lot of there were a number of comments sort of focused on what is happening there with that connection, and the fact that really the uh, uh, here, hold on. Oh, here, I found my piece of paper. I knew I'd summarized it on a piece of paper. Here, we need to have the architect to consider and respond to what the LPB described as the envelope. What is the envelope of the sanctuary structure that they clearly had just, they were lopping it off basically at the back east wall, without taking into account the choir loft and the pieces back behind. So we need to make sure that the architect has seen the the outline of what we are considering the temple sanctuary. Of course, there were comments about the overall scale, height, and massing, that it is in general too great and is overwhelming of the sanctuary building, and also pretty overwhelming within the character of the neighborhood.
Kate, can't hear
Again,
you. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. And can you hear me? You can hear me, okay. And of course, Bob and some others had some specifics in there about fenestration pattern and size and repetition of the window openings. There were also comments about the two-story glass piece there on the north side. It had mixed reviews. I would say, so Lisa and others mentioned that, well, Lisa in particular mentioned it was too large. Jeff had noted that, and this is getting a little bit too much into the detail, but
I will be right back. Somebody's at my front door.
Yeah, the elevation that they showed of the north facade did not show that glass. There was a masonry wall there. There was no look through there. So that was, just so you know, it's elevation, let's see, it's page 201 on the number 4, the drawing number 4. And Bob was a little happier with the glass box than Lisa and perhaps Jeff were, but not happier, but more inclined to develop that further, shall we say. And then Julia, and I think everyone saw everyone's comments, right? Did they go around? But Julia, you had a list of different types of drawings that you'd like to see, different sections, site plan, and also showing better perspectives of the of the temple building, taken from different angles.
Yeah, because my comments were related. Basically, I didn't want to comment on the scale and the size of the glass box until we see it in situ better.
Right.
Because I think all of those comments are very well taken in terms of, the glass box, but I'm not seeing enough information. So I think
that's what I got out of it, is that we really don't have quite enough information yet, right, to be able to give solid recommendations, right, one way or the other. Jeff had said there really needs to be a site grading plan. And also some real good details. Speaking, this is reminiscent of the Jacob, is what about that parking garage facade and what's happening for the pedestrian zone down on that side. And also he was saying he wants to see a shadow or shade study for Madison Street and Walnut Street, like when you're plunking a building of that size and massing. And then just so you know, I've got I haven't seen Sam's letter, but I did get a site analysis from another architect who actually is working with the Sherbrooke apartment building behind. He noted that there are a couple transformer boxes that are proposed. You see them in the site plan, but you don't see them in any of the elevations or anything. So that there are a couple transformer boxes that'll be on the Madison Street side. He said that they look very much as though they're basically at that where the entrance, where the north entrance is, into the, that side entrance into the sanctuary building that we're saying is part of our review. That's pretty much where they plunked those transformer boxes. So that that needs to be addressed as well. So basically, I think that what I would like to do, and I would definitely send out a draft to you all first, would be give you a the list of items that we're looking for, and just some very general comments at this point and concerns, as you all have noted.
Okay, Bob, can you stop turning pages or else mute yourself?
Or mute
Sorry.
yourself.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Or just mute yourself. Yeah. Sorry, Julia,
yes.
go ahead.
You have my comment where I'm asking for a section because I'm concerned about how they're using the sanctuary, and they alluded to it in terms of raising the floor. And I think they have a transition problem if they understand that the envelope of what they need to keep, because I don't think that they truly understand that. If they're lopping it off at the end of the sanctuary and not including the choir area and the spaces behind in the north entrance, if they raise the floor, those two doors at the end of the sanctuary are useless.
Right.
Well, that was going to be part of my comment, was that the whole discussion about raising the floor, number one, there's been no indication specifically as to what that space is going to be used for.
Right.
And I think that kind of I think that kind of a discussion about raising the floor and changing that significantly is premature, to say the least.
Well, second's a good idea. Yeah.
But logistically, I'm not saying that they can't. I just say, I'm saying that it hasn't, if they don't have a good understanding of what the envelope is, they're missing something there drastically. And unless they cut a section through.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like the board to approve for Kate to do exactly what she said. Again, we don't want to get into a big discussion here. We don't have all the information, but we did tell the developers and the applicant that we would get our comments back to them. So Kate, if you could draft those comments, send them out to the board so that we can get them back. That'll be the end of this for today. I am sure we all know that this is, going to be several more discussions.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, Dan, I did not submit any comments, and it wasn't because I didn't give it a lot of thought. And originally, I thought we made a mistake by not recommending the entire block in the neighborhood be more appropriate for historic significance. And I still don't know why we have to put up with more student housing. All that, we're over that. And I'm over that. And I have read Sam's letter, and it kind of crystallizes my thought. We got a long way to go. Not raising the floor and trying to find a use for a sloped floor, I don't care what the original building was, is practically impossible. And do we want it to sit vacant? No. So I think we've got good developers, good architects, good historical context. I think we should proceed and let them bring their ideas to us. We can make comments about our concerns, but I'm in agreement with Sam's letter for the most part.
Okay, well then, at our next meeting, that'll be part of the record. We can have a discussion of that. And I think we're saying the same thing in as much as we're just giving them our comments. And then I do agree with you totally, Dan. I think we do have good developers and good architects, and it is their job to come to us. So
Kate, just one thing. Did we, my audio broke up a little bit. I'm not sure why. Did we clearly say that the north side of the project was lower in the original submission, now that this is all 8-story? did we emphasize in this review the need to possibly reduce the size or the height of the north portion of the property facing the apartment across the street? Because that was what we were requested, and the first submission had that.
Yeah, we haven't, we haven't really had I think that we need to work with, we can certainly say something like that. However, we've actually not had a formal submission yet.
Right.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if we want to, so I would say I could add something general like that in, just again, sort of trying to nudge them, if we want to nudge them downward on the north end.
Yeah.
We could try there, but
yeah. Okay, that's
yeah,
fine. I think you're right.
Well, I'll send out the comments to you, and everyone take a look. And if you want to tweak them, we can discuss how they can be tweaked.
Right. I would like, Kate. When do you think you'll be able to get that to us?
I would like to. I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on that today. So
Okay.
I would hope by the end of today I would have them, and I had told them that I had hoped to get them to them by the end of the week. So that would be tomorrow if you all had a chance to take a look. It's not going to be a terribly long letter or anything, but just
sounds good.
A good synopsis.
Let's all try our best.
Yep.
To get that response back to Kate then tomorrow, and then she can send it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but again, we're not rushing things. As Kate pointed out very, very correctly, we have not had a formal submission.
Right. So
we're not binding ourselves into anything. We're just doing a discussion phase, comment,
Good.
as a courtesy to the developer to try to streamline the process. But we don't have a formal submission, so we're not making any recommendations whatsoever.
No, I think we can thank the developer for these discussion phase reviews.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Very good point.
just to say quickly, should anyone ask you, because I know that it is out there, and people are asking about where it is, and I haven't read Sam's notes, so I don't know what he is responding to. But this project it's a complicated project. The developers knew that when they selected this site. They are currently working with the zoning office and the BZA on a couple different variances. One is an area variance and another is the use variance.
Right.
The zoning is fairly restrictive there, and they are also looking for that the commercial tax, mixed use tax credit. So they have to create some type of income producing commercial portion to this project. So that's why they're working on that. What can they do with the sanctuary piece? It is a type 1 action going into seeker. So it's going to be a long process, but they're working through those stages, and we are trying to facilitate that. So when they are ready to submit a C of A, we'll be able to move that fairly expeditiously. So it's moving along at the correct municipal pace, if you will.
Right.
But they're going through the motions. They're all the right motions. So I would not. I had heard someone say that, the zoning and the LPB are giving them the runarounds, and that is not the case. That we are. It is a complicated project, but the developer seems to be working well through that process at the moment. So
right. And I just want to reiterate what you just said. It's important to remember that it's not just the LPB. It is variances. Anybody that's been involved in that end of the business from a real estate point of view, area variances, use variances are difficult, and they are jurisdictionally difficult, legally difficult, and they take time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
9 o'clock.
it's 9 o'clock. Those that have to go. Thank you very, very much, everybody. And we'll see you. What's the date? October
1st.
October 1st.
Right.
wow,
October 1st.
fast.
Okay, everybody. Stay well. Stay
Thanks.
safe.
You too.
Well,
Yeah.
Bye.
Stay well.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.